Welcome, everybody, to the ASCC meeting of March 23rd. We had a site visit this afternoon, which was really helpful and wonderful. And thank you for that. And yes, I know. Yep. Roll call is next.
So roll call. Commissioner Vaughn,
Here.
Commissioner Moore,
Here.
Vice Chair Dixon, here, and Chair Breen.
Here.
We have a quorum.
And so the first thing on the agenda is this issue of 707. Is that what it is?
That is if someone is attending remotely, so that's not necessarily agenda item, but just, it's always there to
Is it
reference.
something that we're going to talk about?
No, that's always been included just as a FYI on the agenda.
Oh, so is that always going to be there?
Yes, yeah, and this,
We were going to talk about having meetings later rather than earlier.
that's something I'll bring up at the director report out.
All right, good. All right, so that being said, we'll open it up for oral communications. And is there anybody in the room who's not on the agenda tonight want to talk? Something that's not on the agenda? Is there anyone online? What? I could talk about that easily. Anyone online? No, so no one's online, so we can go straight into the meeting. Why don't you guys come up and take a seat?
Is Brand,
Yeah, but you're going to stay there. All right, so Brandon's going to give us a report on the project.
All right. Good evening, ASCC. Brandon DeLucas, contract senior planner with a presentation for you this evening. So we have the architectural review and site development permit for exterior modifications and a small addition, landscaping and associated site improvements to an existing single-family residence at 95 Southfield Drive here in Portola Valley. So again, the project is located at 95 South Soul. It is just kind of over the little hump there as you're coming off of Golden Oak. So the existing site, most of the demo work will be done for existing concrete work and also existing site improvements. The maximum floor area per the code is 5,020. The existing is 4,809. And as proposed, they're only upping it to 4,852, which is with 168 square feet remaining. For the 85%, the project is proposing to exceed 85% AMFA. They currently are already exceeding it. So what they're asking for is that small deviation for the additional approximately 44 to 46 square feet that we saw as part of the second story addition. So with that, they would be exceeding the 85% AMFA by 585 square feet. For impervious surface, they will be maxing out the impervious surface at 7,324. This is the proposed site plan. So you'll see the major changes being the location, kind of reorienting the pool, adding in this deck over the drainage swell there in the center of the property, and then adding in the two gazebos, which are the outdoor kitchen, outdoor dining, and then laying out some of those staircases so that we don't have to go through that very steep path that we did last time. They're kind of adding this kind of a little more curvy kind of step side on that outer edge. So for the elevations, again, they are doing that small 44, 46 square foot addition there at the front, or it nets 44. And that is just to help not only accommodate for the master bedroom, bathroom, but also they're reorienting the primary entrance, adding it more as a covered entrance and a double door entry. Here's it kind of from the side elevation. You can kind of see the 3D renderings. All the materials will be updated to be WUI compliant. Here is kind of the rear elevation as you're facing kind of down at the bottom of the property where the pool is, looking up the hill. You can notice that they are removing the upper story decks and just adding in that smaller lower deck. These are the elevations for the proposed cabana. They are just a metal cabana with, kind of the shuttering roof effect. There are no walls. There will be a kitchen located in one of them. For the color and materials, all the proposed colors and materials are of a natural kind of color palette. They are consistent with our design guidelines and light reflectivity values. For the proposed lighting plan, they have 5 different fixtures. Primary fixture that they utilize is a step light, which will be under kind of the lip of each tread or some of the treads. There's approximately 14 of those. Those are primarily located at any of the major staircases, either coming down from the main house or both at the pool area and the fire pit area, which is on that balcony between kind of the kitchen and pool area. Next, you have the path light. There's approximately 11 of those located throughout the site, 3 in the front, the rest kind of in the rear, kind of just following the main path. There are a couple in-ground path lights that are directly around the outdoor kitchen and dining area and the pool area. There are a total of 4 pool lights, 3 in the main pool, 1 in the hot tub. And there are 8 architectural lights, which are located throughout the site. They are going to be the new lights for the exterior of the building, at the garage, at the front door, and then at kind of the rear entrances, as well as at the kitchen and dining areas. For the landscaping plan, they are updating the landscaping throughout the site. They have worked closely with the Conservation Committee to incorporate a lot of their comments and recommendations. They have planting throughout the site. It does utilize a lot of plants that are on our Portola Valley approved plant list. And then this is just a proposed section just to help better understand kind of the site itself and where some of these improvements are going. So you have the main residence kind of up top. Then you kind of come to this planted and kind of little flatline area, which is right about where the cabanas, gazebos will be going. Here is that swale where it kind of dips down here. So they are providing the deck over that, which will have the fire pit. And then you have the pool area here towards the end of the site. So notice for a public meeting was mailed to all property owners within 300 feet on March 16th. No comments from the neighbors have been provided in writing at this time. I know we did have some neighbors attend the meeting and did ask just some clarifying questions at that time. So staff recommends the ASCC approve the project subject to the recommended conditions of approval. And staff is available for questions. And we also do have the applicant team here available for any questions.
How about comments? Do you want to talk to us about the project? Yeah. Closer.
How's that? Hear me?
Yeah.
No, just as you already mentioned, the additions to the residents are pretty minor. We really tried to work what was there to minimize functionality, really only gaining square footage to create a bathroom for the primary suite and a covered area for the entry. Really, we see most of the work as decluttering the house and simplifying the design to fit in more with the surrounding.
Anything else? You guys additional? I mean, we got a lot this afternoon. That was really helpful.
Yeah, I think it's just acknowledging that the clients bought the property because of the location, because of Portola Valley, and want to disrespect like the existing landscape and the existing footprint of the building.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner, questions of staff or the team?
I have a question of the applicant. Is there a reason that you didn't consider enclosing some of that void space, underneath the old kitchen, under the new living room? It kind of leaves a hole in the back corner of the building. And I would think that from a structural standpoint, it'd be easier and probably nicer to actually have that new gym space, towards that face. I know you're fighting, the 85% AMFA, but it seems like an opportunity missed that would improve the architecture and probably improve, the functional response of the building.
That actually had been considered, and we did do a design with that, adding another bedroom suite into that area under there. And ultimately, the clients weren't looking for a larger house. They didn't need extra square footage. They just felt it was adding cost to the project that they wouldn't use. And so we left that space undone. I suppose there could be a screen put around that area that enclosed it, kind of like we're doing to the lower deck. If we didn't want that area to be exposed, but mainly they just didn't need that extra space.
Any other questions, Carter?
I wondered if staff, had, any insight into, the drainage in this area and whether the piping of that, was done during, the subdivision, or if that was actually done with permission. Because the pipe starts, on this property, but I think it extends diagonally, out and down the hill towards Alpine Road. It's really just a, question of, if you have any insight, if not,
Yeah, I was just double checking to see, to make sure I understood the question right. I'm not aware of anything. Paul was the project planner on this, and worked on this, so I kind of came in towards the end of it. But no comments or concerns were brought up to me about it, so I don't have any additional information to provide.
Thank you.
Lance, questions?
I think the house stands by itself and this will be fine. I think there was some questions about some of the pine trees and the condition and the oaks prospering quite a bit more. Those ones in the front along the road probably are towards the end of their life. And I think there was one back by the pool that had a pretty heavy lean on it also, that gravity always wins.
Got a question?
No, it was a statement. Well, do you guys think you could take those out? There's the question.
Well, we'll get there.
Okay, so you wanted a question. I got
Any
one.
other questions about the project?
No, I think my questions were answered in the discussion. I thought it was illuminating.
How about you?
No, I don't have any questions.
Question? I don't have any questions either, so I think we should open it up to oral communications.
So we do have one person online, Steven Zadeski. If you have raised your hand to talk, I'll allow you to talk.
Hi, Stephen, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thanks.
Okay, good.
Thanks for taking my question. Hey, yeah, I was at the walkthrough today. It was good to meet you all. Question for you. I respect the fact that the property owners have a right to improve their house. Again, my worry is about there's a narrow road, and it has limited sightlines, and I'm just worried my kid walks to school on that road. So I'm concerned that with the traffic from the construction, that it may be a safety issue. So I was wondering if we could make the approval conditional on some sort of construction and pedestrian safety plan with enforceable requirements.
There will be construction staging that will happen through the town and staff. But yes, I mean, that was one of the things I was concerned about, construction staging on that site. I mean, you may have to park somewhere else, and, drive up the hill. So Does
Right.
that help? I mean, I'm not sure we can make a conditional approval on the safety of the kids, but, so we'll have to, you'll have to deal with that with the town hall.
Yeah, and staff will work closely with the applicant team
Mm.
through the building permit review process and try to make sure we address any concerns.
I mean, I see you're concerned with what's going on in Golden Oak. I mean, it's really mayhem there. So, you know, there'll be a solution. Okay, any other public comments?
No one else online.
Okay, so we'll bring it back to the commission and get your comments. Lance?
This is moving rapidly. Nice. I guess my comments would be on focus on the trees. And I do remember the conversation there about a parking plan and restricting to one side of the street, not both sides, I think as per our custom up in that area. And I think you're probably going to need a parking plan, just maybe not at the beginning, but as the trades start to come in.
That it?
That'd be the trees and the parking. I guess that's it.
Gina, you want to go next? Carter?
I stumbled.
Yeah, I think it's a really nice project. It was helpful for me and I'm sure all of us to go out there and walk the site because it's an incredibly difficult site, as I'm sure you guys know, trying to figure out what to do with it and create a really nice space. And I think that you've done a nice job of that. So I just wanted to say, I think it's nice. And I would agree that, it would be nice to see some of those pines come out, especially the ones that are pretty heavily.
Thank you. Carter?
I've driven by this house, for all of the time I've lived in town. And it's always been a fugly house. And I'm pleased that you've, found a solution, that improves it, and adaptively reuses it. I think the plan is thoughtful. The site planning takes advantage of the opportunities the site presents. And I think it does, a nice job of it. I support, the project as proposed. I would continue to support the project, if that void, on the lower level, was, enclosed. Because I think the house would be better for it. The architecture would be better for it. I understand completely, the logic behind it, but I would expect once the structural engineer gets finished with it, it probably would be cheaper to build, a wood frame building, in that location, because I doubt it's going to be wood frame. I would support, an increased veracity, with the tree removal. There's the 2 stone pines up in front. I looked at the base, of both those trees, and they appear to be inside the property line. And the cedar trees, the small immature cedar trees, the deodar cedars that surround the oak, just below that, if they were removed, the oak tree would have much better opportunity. The oak trees are so tropic, that if they touch anything, they move away, even if it's a little immature cedar tree. So, to me, I would favor a condition, requiring the removal of those, and requiring the removal of the invasives, including the ivy, down by the pool. But I think it's a really nice project. The colors and materials work, and I appreciate the opportunity for that house to look better.
Thank you. I agree with what everybody said. I think it's a wonderful project. I'm really excited to see the change. And I think also that darkness will help it integrate better, onto the site. My comments are yes, landscaping and trees. I mean, I think all the pines, all the privets, Algerian ivy, Scotch broom everywhere that's in bloom right now. I mean, you got to get it now, or it's going to cover the site. Bamboo up at the top. And, I think what Carter's talking about up at the top where there are the cedars and the pines. I mean, there's a big round oak that I think will just explode and become a really wonderful form in that corner. So, I think a lot more tree work. So, and I think if you're going to be landscaping up there, I think you have to take out all the stumps, in that hillside. I loved your landscape. I loved your list, your plant list. I thought it was great. And I know that was for their maintenance, but go with it a little bit. I think it could be really fun. I think that creek area needs to be cleaned out. I mean, I call it a creek because I see the water running down to the creek. And that area that's down there, that I pointed out, I mean, I think that could be really cool, to remove a few little oaks down in there. That area I thought was really exciting. So yeah, I think it's a great project, a great improvement. And I'm looking forward to it continuing. So Algerian ivy's got to go too. Rats. Yeah, that's it. Those are my comments. So
Ivy and any other ivy.
Algerian ivy, the rats can eat and drink from the foliage.
Yee.
They don't have to go anywhere. No, Algerian's rough. Anyway, I'm excited for you guys. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Sure. About move we approve as drawn and presented. The house 95 Sussel with the conditions that we stated with the tree removal and the invasive species. And I would welcome any additions, amendments to that.
Do we want to have a commissioner on the tree removals? One commissioner just reviewing?
Great idea. I think that's worked for us well in the past and everybody kind of has clearer communication lines from that.
Just make
So
sure
let's
like
please
all
add
the
that.
pines go.
Add that to my motion. We have one commissioner that'll be assigned to check the invasive and the trees
Okay.
removal.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
If I,
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Ready to go.
just
Alright.
for the record, just to clarify, so we will be adding that one condition for the tree removal and asking for a member of the ASCC. There is already a condition for the invasives. So that one would not be modified since that's already existing. So it'd just be the one additional for the removal of the pines as discussed with the one member of the ASCC.
I didn't have visibility to the invasives condition prior, so that's fine.
So I just wanted to make sure so that we are all clear. Thank you all.
Thank you, you guys. So just a question about this project. There were 3 pages of Conservation Committee notes that were not in the package. Is there a reason for that?
So per the direction that we've received from the commission to try to reduce the staff reports as much as we can, if there are Conservation Committee conditions, we will add them as part of our conditions that are in there. And particularly for this project, the applicant had incorporated everything the ASCC, or sorry, the Conservation Committee was asking for. So it was duplicative, so we did not include it. And that was, again, per previous direction, was trying to reduce the amount of pages you're getting. If we're already incorporating their items into either our conditions or they've been addressed and added to the plan set, we're not going to be attaching them any further. That's just to help keep the packets as small as we can get them for you guys.
Conservation Committee, though, tends to, they're communicating with ASCC about the project. I would like to see anything that Conservation Committee puts forward. There are lots of other things you could get rid of in the package, but that I think is very important stuff for us.
Is that direction by the entire commission that we should include the
I-
Conservation Committee? Their
If
recommendations
there's, I
always
mean,
as an
we
attachment.
got three, luckily they sent them to us. So we knew what they had said, but we didn't know, we wouldn't have known what was said. And I thought maybe it was a mistake, but it sounds like it's not a mistake. And I want to say for myself, I don't know about you guys, but that I want to see any communications from the Conservation Committee on projects going forward.
Okay.
How do you guys feel?
So I appreciate the effort to be mindful of the paper stack, virtual stack. I think conservation, let's see if we can maybe keep them, or perhaps there's a Cliff Notes version. I think that this was,
It wasn't long.
it wasn't long.
We didn't need the complete history.
I think
you know.
probably the final summation would be fine. And, but I do appreciate the effort to try to reduce some of those 200-page-ish
Yeah.
approaching page packets.
But they tend to be advisors for,
Well, it's okay.
for ASCC.
We learn, we move forward. So thank you for the effort.
And I think they were concerned that we didn't see it.
So,
So,
and what we've been, what, you know, what staff tries to do is when we do get those from ASCC or from Conservation Committee, either we have the applicant modify the plans to include them, or we add conditions. So for example, the evasive, that was a planning condition of approval that we added directly from the Conservation Committee. So we're treating it similar to how we do engineering, geology. We're not giving you guys their 30-page reports. We're just adding their conditions that they've asked for and maybe having a little conversation about their analysis. So that's how we're trying to treat them similar to that we do other outside departments, but we're more than happy to include that if that is your
maybe
guys'
they
direction.
should send it, maybe Conservation should be direct with us, should send their information to us. But
Well, I guess what we could do, which might be a different kind of formatting, is to have those reports, and those communications available to us rather than, by reference, in the staff report, rather than eliminating them completely, so that there would be another PDF, that you could, go to, or another link, to get those, some of those, some of that information. Because I think rather than, counting on you, to glean it, correctly, which I think you're doing, but it's at the same time, I think that, having those, having those communications and those, expert reports, because I consider, the Conservation Committee one of our experts, as well as our town geologist and our town engineer. That, if we can just, gain access, if we trust everything that's going on, and we're short on time, it's an easy thing that we can pass by. One of the things that is problematic, on the big reports is, is the scrolling problem, and having the links die, partway through. I still haven't gotten quite to the landscape plan today.
good.
Correct. So what we can do is we can kind of work internally and try to identify the best way to get them to you guys. Do we attach it? The problem is right now, anything that we send to you gets into that one big packet.
Yeah.
And so we'll have to work with the town clerk and town attorney just to make sure we're doing it right, because anything that is sent to you guys does also need to be public record. So finding a good way to balance those two, we can kind of identify and maybe we'll bounce some ideas off of you guys on how to do that.
I think the link is probably going to be, be the best.
All right.
Well, thanks for trying.
Yes.
This is how we get better.
Yeah.
We maneuver and we try and we maneuver, and maybe we do the link, and maybe we find that we ask the committees to provide a one-page summary, and that's included, and then the deeper dive isn't linked off, and we can go grab it if we need it.
Yeah, I would be comfortable. I mean, and we just have to talk this through too. Like, if Conservation Committee wants to give me a one-page summary that I can just include in my staff report and just say, here's the feedback from Conservation Committee. That might make it easier. You guys hear directly from them. It's just within my staff report. you know,
I was gonna say, I wouldn't recommend having us try to summarize what Conservation Committee is doing. Like what I would just reiterate what Brandon just said is recommend if Conservation wants to have a shorter summary, great, or we include just everything word for word of what they sent over. And I feel like I'd almost rather do that. And if you feel like reading through it, great. Or if they feel like doing a summary, also.
They
open
go
to
into
that.
a lot of detail sometimes, and it's very helpful. So I want to see what they have to say. Okay. You.
Yeah, but results will vary, I think.
Pardon?
Results will vary on a
Yeah.
deep dive.
All right, onward. So committees, reports.
I think,
What? Oh,
I
your
had a few
report.
things.
Yes,
So yeah.
all right.
So the first thing, so I'm aware that we have direction to open ASCC recruitment, I think, looking for additional members. I know we have one vacant seat. So I'm aware of that. I was working with our town clerk and other staff to get a posting online. And so when we have something on the website, then we can share it with you. But I've just gotten word that we should be recruiting for at least the vacant seats and wanted to give you guys a heads up that we'll have that coming up and we'll like share the communications with you. The other thing, so I'm bringing this up just in the report out for now, but this will be in a future agenda item. So it was brought to my attention by the town attorney that technically the ASCC is supposed to be meeting at 7 p.m. per the municipal code. So it's in the code saying ASCC would meet at 7. And so I'm bringing up now, just as a heads up, I think I had given notice to Chair Breen about it as well. And I know there's a desire for the commission to talk about it and kind of decide what the next steps are. So this is just the report out, so no action will be taken now, but I want to say probably the next meeting, we should have this on the regular agenda. And so action could be taken to give staff of kind of what direction. But right now it's in the code 7 p.m. The next meeting, as I understand it, we can still have it at 6 p.m., but it'd be noticed as a special meeting. And then from there, depending on the direction you want to go, if it's meeting at 7 p.m., if it's potentially going as far as changing the code to meet at a different time, I think there's options and we can provide that information to you at the next meeting, and the town attorney will be at the next meeting anyways. So we can have a bit more of a conversation. You guys can decide sort of how you want to move forward. So want to give you a heads up on that. And that's all I had for now, I think.
Okay. I have talked to a lot of chairs who say that they decide what time their meetings are.
This is unique. I mean, it's in the code, I think, for the commissions and council, at least for Architectural Site Control Commission, it is section 2.16.040, where it says
Okay.
our ASCC meets at 7 p.m. in the schoolhouse. And so if we're not doing that, then the meetings need to get posted as a special meeting, as I understand it. So I want to look into this further and make sure we're following all the rules. And there's potential to change the time, but as I understand it right now, that would be changing the time in the code as well. So like getting a formal approval that way.
Okay.
I would personally support changing it back to 7. Because, it actually would give me time to get some dinner before I come.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about it. I mean.
Yeah,
we'll
and that's
put
why I wanted,
agenda.
yeah, I wanted you guys to have some more time because I know it's a lot and then changing your schedules around from when you always know when to meet. And I guess with that, something to also think about is when we do our site visits as well. If, for example, we move to 7 p.m., does 3 p.m. still make sense for site visits, or should we also push that later, try to have them closer together so it's maybe easier to get to and from? But just stuff to think about depending on how you want to schedule things out moving forward and hold your calendars.
I figured some of you guys would support, going to 7. So it's good to have a discussion. And we'll do that later.
Indeed.
Okay. Any other commission reports?
I think you've got one.
Yeah, I do. But
Nothing-
did
nothing
you
to
guys
report.
Anything, go to any meetings? No? Check on anything? No. Oh, Carter and I worked on 909 Westridge. We had a Zoom meeting with the architect and the landscape architect. It's going to be a wonderful project, really exciting. And then what came up out of that was that there was not a disagreement between the neighbors about tree removal. So I met with this set of neighbors, I met with the other set of neighbors, and we talked about it, and I think we've come up with a solution. So I think, so now they will sign up to come to the ASCC. So anyway, it's going to be a really great project and it's exciting. So, it's also, I love it that we're doing the early engagement with an applicant. Anyway, so that's this agenda item. And now we're going to minutes. Everybody study minutes?
I move approval.
Second?
I'll second.
Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So minutes approved. All right. Anything else? I mean, I've written to you guys about a couple of things, projects. This 1365 Westridge project, those balustrades have got to go.
So that's definitely something we're looking into, and, we can communicate offline about that as well, just kind of questions around that project and make sure we are providing the right clarifications on what's going on.
And do we have an active code enforcement or?
We do. Yeah, so as you guys know, we do have code enforcement, we have building inspectors, and with code enforcement, they're out here at least once a week or on call as needed. So typically out here on Wednesdays, we have, if you see anything, you're welcome to report it at code@portolavalley.net. And then I think it's still on our website. I think it's through PV Connect, but there's another way to go report things through our website. So if you're seeing things, because it happens, something's been approved and maybe what was approved isn't quite being built. And that's why we have code enforcement, is to make sure that during construction as well as post-construction, things are aligned with the code. And that's how we check. So obviously we catch things through our own inspections under construction, final inspections, but there's things that happen where we get reports and that allows us to be aware. And then we have our code enforcement go out and check. And we also check with our staff, our permit techs and our other planners and engineers and others as needed to make sure that we're getting that information to understand, is this permitted work? Is it unpermitted? And how do we address this? And so we can go as far as, if it's under construction or something like notice of stop work. And there's other ways to make sure that we're having the properties or property owners or properties held accountable for that, and to make sure they're either fix it or head in the right direction.
There's a property that I called in about code enforcement and there was a stop work order and they're still working. So what does one do in a situation like that?
That's something you can still report to code enforcement. It could be something, I don't know if maybe the issue's already been addressed and they're able to work, or
Okay.
if they're still working when you believe they shouldn't, then you can send a report again too.
And this one on Westridge, I also want to understand, how did it happen that these balustrades are going in? And I mean, did that happen through the planning department? I mean, how did these go in?
That's what we're looking into. I think you had been in coordination with Jamie Bourne, a planner. So she was also saying that she can do final kind of planning inspection.
All right,
So
good.
we're
I'm gonna-
following up with that to make sure that it was built to the plans, because I haven't, I'm not going to make any assumptions since I haven't directly seen the plans and what's been built, but I will be double checking with what's approved and make sure that we're addressing that.
Thank you. All right, move to adjourn.
I had one question.
Yes.
I've been asked by a couple of residents about weekend construction, and with the warmer temperatures, early morning starts. Is there a preferred method for our residents to try to address that? Like at 7 a.m. arrivals and staging and starting?
Sorry, are you saying they are starting early, or
They are.
They are? Okay. So I believe they can't start construction before 8 a.m., but we have had issues with some properties. But from my understanding, again, I'll follow this up with like what's actually the rule, but they can show up and potentially be in their truck and be there, but they can't be out physically starting work until 8 a.m. So we had another property where I think someone was reported and they're maybe showing up at 7:30, 7:45, but they were there parking, sitting in their truck, and then at 8 a.m. they were starting work. But so we had to clarify that. What does it mean to actually start work?
Well, yes, I know the difference between arriving early because traffic was light and that was a great day versus actually out in bags at those early hours. And that's the question that was posed to me. And maybe how we direct, maybe we help residents by directing that so they can self-direct that to the proper place.
Yes.
'Cause at that early time, it's kind of, how do you report is the question is. And I think that's what we need to find an answer for people.
Yeah, maybe that's something we can spread communications more broadly, but that is for code enforcement. So we have sent our code enforcement officer out many times for things related to construction activity where they're just not following it.
Thank you. Yep.